Hello, happy Sunday, everybody. Dr. Val here, back for another Sleepphoria Live, where we do mini webinars about twice a month on a Sunday morning at 9:30 a.m. Pacific. Sometimes I get videos requested and talk about what things you want to know about. So go ahead and email me at hello@sleepforia.health if that's the case. I actually was recently asked what to do about this question, how to fall back asleep after I wake up. It's a really, really common concern for a lot of our ladies out there. And before we dive into the actual practical steps on how to fall back asleep, I always encourage my patients, my audience, our community to try to figure out why. Do a little bit of that background, that excuse me, that little science sleuth type work. Because if you can figure out why you have a hard time staying asleep, then in turn, right, you can reverse engineer it to see what are the actual steps I need to do to go back to sleep. And sometimes, actually, I was speaking to a patient recently that changed up her diet a little bit. She joined a program where she really reduced her calories at night and I mean, the amount of calories she was having throughout the whole day. And even her dinner was a lot less. And so I was thinking probably her blood sugars could be dropping. I mean, I don't know for sure unless we did a sort of glucose finger stick in the middle of the night when she woke up or use a continuous glucose monitor. But it could make sense if you have any lifestyle changes that are causing you to wake up in the middle of the night. So think about from a physical standpoint. Are your blood sugars dropping because you're intermittently fasting? You've reduced your caloric intake throughout the whole day. Honestly, a lot of women, a lot of folks, especially as we go through midlife and beyond, have issues with obstructive sleep apnea. That is a very, very common reason why someone has a hard time staying asleep. And even if you're on treatment, sometimes your pressures need to be adjusted, or potentially your mask is waking you up, or you can hear it leak. You probably know if those are the causes. But I always say try to figure out what caused your nighttime awakening and then reverse engineer it to improve your sleep quality. But let's go into the video for today where we're talking about okay, so maybe I don't have an underlying sleep condition. Maybe I just have a really busy mind, or I feel stressed out, or I have some anxiety. And maybe that's waking me up and I have a hard time going back to sleep. So common when we think about part of what sleep is when our brain waves slow down. So if something is causing your brain waves to go faster at night, it's going to be harder to go back to sleep. And this goes into my first tip. Well, strengthen your parasympathetic nervous system. And what is that, Val? Dr. Val? Well, it's your relaxation system. So we have built within us this autonomic nervous system. You've probably heard of the stress response. So that's the sympathetic drive. But we also, on the other end, have the parasympathetic drive. It's also the relaxation response. You want to make the relaxation response as strong as possible. A couple ways to do so is controlling your breath. So they've done research where they've actually studied folks who've been able to reduce your respiratory rate. Normal respiratory rate, depending on the situations, probably somewhere between 12 to 14. Higher if you're exercising, maybe higher if you're in an anxious panic state where you tend to hyperventilate. But the more we can use the power of our breath and slow it down to about 6 breaths a minute, it really sets off that relaxation response, right? If you know anyone who are parents, or if you're around any young kids, how do we help them calm down if they're having a tantrum, or getting a little bit excited or showing big emotions? We'll have them count from 10 to 1. See if they can slow down their breathing. And as they do so, right, it can lead to more relaxation. Yogis know this, right? When you're doing, yogic breathing, yoga nidra, you're slowing down your breath. You're using that power of your breath. And when you can control your breath, right, you can control your mind. The speed of your mind also really starts to slow down. So, tip number one, slow down your breathing as much as possible. Number two, mindfulness. Can you be there in the present moment? Oftentimes what happens when we wake up in the middle of the night, depending on what time it is, like would encourage you not to look at the clock. Sometimes my young son does wake up in the middle of the night, and my husband says, "Oh, what time did you get up?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I don't look at the clock because I don't want to know. Because if it's 4 o'clock, then I'll probably be like, oh, darn, like I only have a couple more hours to sleep. Versus if it's like 12 o'clock, I'll be maybe in a better mood. So I don't let the clock affect how I feel. I just, if he wakes up, uses the restroom, help him go back to sleep as much as possible. But if my mind is racing, would I like to focus on my breath? But also, can I just be here in the present moment? Meaning, you know, I'm here, I'm safe, I'm in my bed, my son is safe. He's going to be okay. Ideally, he's going to go back to sleep. Because if I start to think about the next day, and if I start to think about, okay, I have to do this meeting or this project, finish these notes. And if it's 4 o'clock and I only have maybe 2 to 3 more hours to sleep, and if I can't go to sleep, then that really sets my mind off racing, which is the opposite of sleep, right? So, can you stay in a really mindful, present moment where you're focusing on just your breathing? And sometimes that can be really hard to do if we're newer to this type of practice. Other ways that you can actually anchor your thoughts in the present moment without letting it go down that hamster wheel or start spinning. I like to do body scans. So, on the channel, also, you can see a body scan meditation that I recorded. So you're thinking about different parts of your body, either scanning from toe to head or head to toe. That can be super helpful because you want to anchor your thoughts in something, either your breath or different parts of your body. If that's not helpful, I'm a big fan of guided imagery and clinical hypnotherapy, which you may have already heard of from other videos if you see my other videos. And one of my favorite things to do is think of a really relaxing place that I've been in. Maybe it's going back to my childhood home. My parents live in the suburbs, of Northern California, almost like the country where it's really quiet and you're just hearing the bullfrogs at night and you're hearing the crickets and it's really, really dark. There's not a lot of light pollution. So thinking about what it's like to be young again, not having all the responsibilities and sort of the biggest decisions of your day are what you're going to wear to school. So sometimes thinking about that can help, or really thinking about a vacation I went on and how fun it was, how, spent the whole day hanging out with the family, maybe at the pool or going to the beach. And by the time it was night, we were so exhausted, we've passed out, fell asleep really, really fast, and how that felt. And then really bringing in all the emotions. So again, there's another video about that, how you can use your five senses to help you go into relaxation. So slow down your breathing, be mindful, think about different parts of your body. Use your imagination to transport yourself to a time where you were able to relax really fully. And if those sort of three things don't work, get out of bed. We call this stimulus control in cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, where you don't want to associate your bed with any type of negative experience, negative thoughts, negative emotions. Because what can happen is if you start to go down that spiral where you get frustrated, you get angry, you're upset that you're not asleep, guess what? Your brain waves are going to start firing faster, and it can make it harder to even fall back asleep again. So if after about 15, 20 minutes of sort of wrestling with your mind, wrestling with your body, trying to get comfortable, if you can't go back to sleep, that's okay. Get out of bed. Do something really relaxing. I think this is what a lot of folks ask me about. Well, what am I supposed to do in the middle of the night? You don't want me to be on my screen. Yeah, certainly you don't want to be on your phone because it can be really stimulating. Light can be stimulating. Can you do some kind of quiet activity? Listen to music. Can you have like low light on and you can be like drawing? One of my patients likes to play guitar, but he also lives at home. So playing music can be helpful. If you know how to knit, you can probably do that without even looking at it. Sometimes people like to wake up and journal. I feel like that's plus minus. If that works for you, fantastic. I think for me, that'll probably be really stimulating because I need to have like a lot of light on. Some people can turn on just a meditation CD, or I'm dating myself, a meditation recording on their phone. I'm a big fan of the Calm app. There's a lot of great sleep stories there. Sometimes it's easier to get out of your own mind by listening to something else, and that can be really relaxing. But really, I would encourage you, if you have a hard time settling down after you wake up in the middle of the night, is come up with a list. I'm a big list person. Can you list 10 things that you can do if you do wake up in the middle of the night and have a hard time going back to sleep? And so if this does happen, you're already prepared. Okay, I'm going to do a body scan. Okay, I'm going to do a breathing exercise. Okay, maybe I'm going to listen to one of the meditations that Sleephoria has on their channel. And if those don't work, okay, I'm going to get out of bed and I have this really boring textbook that I used to read, and I'm going to read that till I fall asleep. Sometimes it's just a matter of changing locations where getting out of bed, getting that frustration out of your bedroom, going down to the couch, you may notice that change in scenery, change of place can help you fall asleep faster. And then when you start to yawn, go back to bed. And that can be super beneficial. So, hope you like this video, found some new tips or different tips or ways to rethink about what to do if you wake up in the middle of the night. If you found these helpful, please let me know in the comments below and hope to see you on another mini webinar live. Alrighty, everyone. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.